Good evening and welcome to Baker Street News. Philip Hollobone has been working hard to bring back the National Citizen Service. We talked to Mr Hollobone himself and asked him why he thought it's a good idea to bring it back.
What I would like to do is bring back a full year's national service based on the old national service in the 40s, 50s and 60s. And the idea would be that young people between those ages would give 1 year of their life to the country in a voluntary capacity, either helping with the NHS or with charity work or with overseas development activity or with the armed forces. The choice would be up to them. I think it would be good for those young people. It would teach them self-respect, respect for others, the importance of turning up on time, looking after people who are vulnerable, the elderly, teach them the basics of the law, because a lot of young people get in trouble with the law, but would also be good for the country. Well, I think if you speak to young people who go to college or university, they will say that one of the main benefits of that is actually meeting people from other parts of the country and from overseas, from all sorts of different backgrounds. But that only happens if you go to university or college. So what I'm talking about is a scheme for everyone. So everyone would have the chance to mix with other people from all sorts of different backgrounds from right across the country. You see, in the 1940s, 50s and 60s, one of the big problems we had in this country was the class divide. You had the upper classes, the middle classes and the lower classes. And the thing about national service is that everyone had to rub along together, and it got rid of a lot of that silent discrimination, if you like. And it meant that people appreciated other people from all sorts of different backgrounds. Today we've got problems in this country to do largely with race. And you're increasingly getting people of different races not mixing together, not appreciating other people's cultures. If everyone were forced to take part in national service, I think you'd find all sorts of combinations of people effectively having to rub along with other people, which would break down those barriers and that hostility, and I think that would be a benefit to the country. But what happens at the moment is that the government runs a 6-week summer national citizen service scheme, and that'll carry on regardless. I mean, basically what national service would do is pause somebody's life to give them skills which they might not otherwise acquire in terms of how to handle themselves, how to treat other people with respect and dignity, to learn about other people who they might otherwise never come across. And I think it would help to make people more rounded, which would help them in whatever they then did in life. So after a year's national service, I think you'd find that most people would be more employable and they'd have more respect for themselves and for others, and would be better human beings as a result. And then they could do the apprenticeships and the internships and whatever they wanted to do after that. And of course, for every baby born today, 1 in 3 will live to 100. So people are living a lot longer than they used to be, and I don't think asking someone to give up 1 year of potentially 100 years of life is too much to ask.
And now to join us in the studio is Mr Powell, a teacher from a secondary school in Australia, here to discuss the National Citizen Service Bill.
I think it'll have a huge impact because it's something that's new to them. It's something that's never been done before in their lifetime, so of course it's going to have a massive impact on them. Whether it'll be positive or negative, I'm not sure. I've got a bit of a mixed opinion, I guess. I think in some instances it probably would have a really positive effect. I think in other instances it would have a negative effect. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's probably something that would be quite good for long-term unemployed and things like that, as opposed to people who are kind of set in their career path and know where they're going. I think that might be a negative for them to kind of have a year where they've got to take a side step before they can continue on their path. Well, yeah, benefits to the country. If they're providing a service for the country, it'd be a benefit. And I think, again, a benefit for certain young people. I guess for all young people, it will teach them certain skills, it'll teach them discipline, other things like that. I guess again, I think if there's some people who don't have direction, and then they're doing this compulsory service, I guess it could take people off the streets. It could it could educate people more, the young people, so it could reduce it. Yeah, I think it possibly could. I think it's taking away your right to choose what you want to do. I think that's the biggest thing. If it's compulsory, it's forcing you to do something. It's taking away your free will. Yeah. I think there'd definitely be protests about it. Yeah. I mean, we've seen how bad the student protests have gotten in London with the uni fee hike. So, definitely, I think the worst case scenario could be rioting and protests that possibly could get a bit violent, or it could be a case of people fleeing the country. I don't know, fleeing the country to escape the national service. That's a bit extreme, but yeah.
Thank you for watching. That's all we have time for. Have a good evening. Good night from Baker Street.
Good night.
Because Kobe whistles all the time, he's got that Wallace and Gromit theme.
He's got what?
That
Oh yeah.
do.
Oh my God. Is that you?